It's the Maurice Brown Show Sports Edition. Playing a little pitch and catch with my nephew, Caleb.
Hey, guys.
He's the next Jerry Rice. Want to show him?
Yeah,
Let's
do
go.
it.
You're going to love this. Ready, set, go! Let's start the show. Yeah! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show NFL edition on bogradio.fm. I am Maurice Brown. We got a great show, and this is our pre-draft show. Have not seen you guys since the Super Bowl, as the Kansas City Chiefs were embarrassed by the Philadelphia Eagles, and not a lot to talk about that there. But we're going to be joined momentarily by Antoine A.S. Stewart and Aaron Too Tall Moore. And as I speak, we're being joined by Antoine A.S. Stewart, hip-hop artist Antoine A.S. Stewart right now. Stu! What up, Stu?
What's going on, Mo?
Hey, man, everything's going good. It's been a minute just talking about the Philadelphia Eagles spoiling the party for a lot of people in Vegas. The books out there had, a lot of bettors winning big time, and instead they lost big time. I'm glad I didn't put any money on that game. I'm glad I'm not one of these obsessive gamblers, dude. I feel so bad for him, Stu.
I don't.
Okay, my man. I mean, you go out, you put that kind of money on a ball game, and I just only imagine how much money people lost in that. Did you see this lopsided victory coming at all?
I mean, not to be honest, no. Not the way it happened, but I knew it was a possibility of that. We've seen the Chiefs when they played Tampa, they couldn't do nothing with Tampa's defense and their D-line. And they struggled. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the entire game. So we've seen something similar to that. But hats off to the Eagles, man. They put a good old-fashioned butt whooping on these boys for 4 quarters. So in the biggest game on the biggest stage. So hats off to Philly.
Hats off to Philly. They've got a great team. They put it together. I guess from my perspective, being an NFC guy, being a Packer fan, I look at the Eagles and I go, they can be had. And the way they win at the Chiefs says a lot more about what's wrong with Kansas City to me than what's right with the Eagles. Your opinion?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both as well, too, because Eagles showed that how we grew up on football, the way football has always been, is still the way to be the best. By winning the game in the trenches on both sides of the ball, the offensive side and the defensive side. Philly's offense and defensive line dominated the entire game. And, Kansas City was so sought on stopping the running game that they forgot about everything else, and that just opened up everything else. And but them boys couldn't do nothing with Philly's D line, man. They were getting after Mahomes. The refs didn't get too much involved, which is what I was watching to see, because we've seen in previous Super Bowls the refs get involved, and it's like, let them play. If you're gonna let them play, let them play. Don't let them play in the first 3 quarters, and in the 4th quarter you start throwing the flags on some close calls. Let these boys play. For the most part, they let them play, and that's what happened. So I think, to be honest with you, I think we may have seen not a stomp beat down like that, but we may have seen some different outcomes had the refs not get involved in future games. But I'm glad it happened, man. It was a good shakeup, something new, something fresh. It showed that, for the most part, the integrity of the game is still there, because there was a lot of questions starting to come out on that side of the game. Is it rigged? Is it this? Is it that? Even if it is, that game definitely wasn't rigged. They let them boys go out there and play, and the best team that night won. So I think that it was a great game, and I think for it was better for football in general as a whole. When you see the so-called champs get knocked off and we didn't get to see the three-peat, I think it gives people hope that their team can do the same thing. So I think it was good for football and all in all.
Well, the referees were frustrated. I mean, they are like, look, we came out here to cheat for you guys, but if you're gonna play like this, I'm just gonna put my handkerchief in my pocket. I'm done. I mean, they're like, forget it. I mean, it was bad. They didn't have a chance to cheat for Kansas City in this game. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. And I'll tell you this, Saquon Barkley, and I said it all year, is really the difference maker for Philadelphia. He just causes so many problems. And yes, Philadelphia has the best defense in the NFL. They were number one. But your whole game plan has to be set around Saquon Barkley as well. And he's just taking the Eagles to the next level. But I just look at the Eagles and I know they can be had. They've had some, mistakes throughout the year, but it was really bad for the Chiefs. They look really bad. But look, hats off to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. They get it done. After the debacle last year, they rebounded and they got it done. You got to love Jalen Hurts getting an opportunity to wear that ring. Hats off to Philadelphia. Now we move on to a new season, and we're getting ready for the draft coming up. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. April 23rd, 24th, and we're gonna cover that on draft night here on the Maurice Brown Show on Blog Radio with Antoine A.S. Stewart, hip hop artist, and also Aaron Too Tallmore. And now we're getting ready for a new season. And this is the exciting part of the year. We had a lot of signings today in the NFL, one of which was Myles Garrett, who signed with the Cleveland Browns. And he went around on this tour saying, I want to be on a winner. I don't want to play for Cleveland. They're not going anywhere. I went from show to show. And then all of a sudden, he signs for $125 million to stay with a losing team. Good or bad idea, Stu?
Bad idea for as far as winning.
Yeah.
Good idea for your pockets. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Good for the
I think
pockets.
he was I think he was definitely thinking with his pockets. And if you're okay with not winning and not competing for in the playoffs and stuff like that, great choice. If you want to really make a splash in the playoffs and really get to that big one and possibly win it, bad idea, horrible idea. I don't see the Browns doing anything like that, any remotely close thing like that. So great for your pockets, bad for your career. So it just depends on which one you weigh the highest. If obviously he's weighing his pockets as the highest right now, so he made the best move for his bank account.
He did. I mean, you can't be mad at him. I mean, it's all about that dollar at the end of the day. I mean, we got to pay bills, take care of our families, leave money to our children, all that stuff. I get all of that. It's just the fact that he made all that noise about how he did not want to be there. So now you lose kind of a little bit of credibility, a little bit of integrity. The fan base in Cleveland is looking at you kind of side eye, like, why are you here? And so it kind of makes him look bad a little bit. But I mean, yeah, he came back for the money. One of his homeboys probably pulled him aside, say, hey, yo, hey, Miles, yo, you need to get that money, bro. And so he did. I mean, it's a lot of money, so he came all back. So we're not going to be too mad at it for that. It was just a bad look. So, I mean, man, Howard says, what's up, Mo? So what up, John? What's going on, bro?
What's
Commander,
going on?
he want to talk about the Commanders. That's what that's about. He want to talk about the Commanders. But you know what? We're going to get to that, John. We're going to get to that because they're looking really good. And they made a nice move today. I think they picked up an offensive tackle from Houston. And there's going to be some more moves made by the Commanders this year. And, John said, no, I'm good. Yeah, I got you, John. I know y'all about to do your thing, bro. I know y'all about to do your thing. I get it. I totally get it. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But Myles Garrett, no, for real. This guy comes back after talking all that smack. And then later on today, the Sam Darnold mystery is over. He signs a $330 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm looking at this deal right now, and I'm like, okay, there's no Justin Jefferson in Seattle. DK Metcalf just rolled out to Pittsburgh. Tyler Lockett is on the free agency market. He's not going to be back. So, I mean, how's this going to look for the Seahawks bringing Sam Darnold in, who, in my opinion, is not as good as Geno Smith? Your opinion?
Well, they did just make that huge pick in tight end, Aaron Moore. So he gonna be throwing it to him. So nah, man. As a 40 as a 49ers fan, I'm happy for it. That's who we have to go against. So not saying anything bad about Sam Donald, but he's not that premier quarterback that we're used to seeing. But the one thing that I am happy about for him is I like how the way the league is going right now. Is how the league used to be like once you were put in that certain category, like you couldn't make it in this league, you never got a second chance. There are a lot of quarterbacks that are now getting second and third. When you think
Yeah.
about Geno, you think about what's going on in Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield. These guys are second and third chancers, and they're able to get these big contracts. It's showing you may start off on a bad team or not play your best football. But if you stick at it, you may have to play that second string mode for a while, but you may get another opportunity. And when you do, you need to take full advantage of that opportunity. So I'm not mad with it. He's playing great ball. Don't think he's worth that much money, but it's the market. What do you want to do? If you want to pay a top quarterback, or if you want to pay a quarterback to have a league minimum, especially for a long-term deal, I would have to really, really dig into the deal and see like how much is guaranteed. And I'm pretty sure they have some strong language that are team friendly language that's in his contract. But for him, hey man, get that money, ball out, man.
And let me correct that. I said $330 million. That went to Josh Allen in Buffalo, but he got 3 years. Thanks for the correction, John. 3 years for $100 million
$100 million.
in Seattle, which sounds about right. I mean, and Sam Darnold. Now, what am I talking about? I like Geno Smith better than Sam Darnold. I think he had a great year. There's no question about that. You can't act like he didn't handle his business in Minnesota, but those last two games, he came back down to earth, the kind of Sam Darnold play that we expected. And John also adds he got 55 million guaranteed. I don't
Oh
like
wow.
the optic. Go ahead. Go ahead, Stu.
No, I was just saying, oh wow, 55 guaranteed. That's
I,
nice.
I mean, I don't like the optic with DK gone and Tyler Lockett gone, and there's no Justin Jefferson there, and their offensive coordinator is not, you know, all that. He was protected in Minnesota. Okay, the head coach there, excellent, and just everything. He had everything going for him in Minnesota. So, but again, you're not going to run away from money. I mean, they threw a lot of Benjamins at it at a quarterback that still has something to prove after the way things ended. So, yeah, take the money and see what you can do. As we talk about signings, I got to talk about my boys a little bit, the Green Bay Packers. We did we make a mistake by not getting DK Metcalf when he was just sitting out there? And should the Packers go for Cooper Kupp now that he's been released from the Rams?
Absolutely, you should go for Cooper Cup. Not only is he a great player on the field, but he's a great player in the locker room. He's a team guy.
Yeah,
He's not a head case. DK, he can be a little bit head case, a little bit of
yeah,
a head case. So
yeah.
he's a great baller, but it's easy to get under his skin. We've seen that multiple times, and he may
True.
not be the
Good
best
point. Yeah, yeah.
locker room guy. So it just depends on how the team, what type of player you guys really want on your team. Is it just all talent, or is it a mixture of talent and having a good locker room piece that's not going to add to the confusion and stuff? When things aren't going your way, is he going to be, a crybaby, whiny player as we've seen in the future? So, but Cooper Cup, definitely, if you get a chance to grab him with the arm that your quarterback has, I would definitely snatch him up quick.
Well, Green Bay needs to make a move. I mean, Josh Jacobs has already put it out there, and that's the fact that the Packers don't have a true number one receiver. And they don't. They've got a good receiving core, but you need a guy that you can hang your hat on at the end of the day. And DK to me would have been that dude, but Cooper Kupp is another one of them. Tyler Lockett has not been scooped up by anybody.
Really?
And Green, yeah, go ahead, Stu.
No, I was saying really.
Yeah. I don't think Tyler Lockett's been scooped up by
Mm.
anybody yet. He may have, but I haven't. I don't know if he has or not. But the reality is, Green Bay needs a true number one. And when Christian Watson keeps going out with these different injuries, year after year, I mean, he's out when you really need him, and we need a guy we can hang our head on. So, yeah, I think Green Bay needs to jump on that with the arm Jordan Love has. Of course, Jordan Love needs to remember at home, we wear green, and when we're on the road, we're wearing white. Anyway, I'll leave it alone. So I want to go to the next headline here. The Steelers, should they now? They just picked up DK. Should the Steelers make a move and sign Aaron Rodgers?
If it's going to be the Aaron Rodgers we saw in New York, absolutely not. Pittsburgh, that's a rough division. Playing the Ravens, playing Cincinnati, and even the Browns, they play them tough. So it's going to be a lot more physicality happening. I don't know. Is Aaron Rodgers still the same Aaron Rodgers? I haven't seen it. We all thought that with the defense the Jets had,
Yeah.
adding Aaron to the pot, that they were going to have this magical season. And of course, the owner didn't help out by getting rid of the defensive coordinator, Robert Salah, who's back home now with the 49ers. But, it kind of things went downhill after that. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't want to pay him. Now, if Aaron Rodgers was humble asking for, a smaller deal, that might be a possibility. But as far as throwing a lot of Benjamins, as you say, at him, not so much. I would like to work the young guy Fields a little more, maybe get a veteran in there if Russ is out, get a veteran or something like that. But and try to see what you got in Fields, Aaron, he's probably not going to be cheap, but you might be able to work something out. It just depends on what the numbers are saying. But I'm not impressed by what we saw this past season with Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's definitely on the decline. And, to do what Tom Brady did at that age, we've never seen it done in the NFL before, playing at that elite level at the quarterback position. And I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers has what it takes to do it. Um, if he can take a slice of humble pie and as we seen, Peyton Manning do it when the year he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos, when it's just like, look, I'm gonna take what the defense is giving me. I'm not going to have as big a role in the offense, and maybe let the running game and the defense control more of that. Maybe short passes and dumps, and take your shots when it's available. Maybe, but if Aaron thinks he's still the Aaron Rodgers that we've grown accustomed to loving, and thinks he's going to ball and play like that, I don't think his body is there. So I think it's one of those things where, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, if the money is right, if they can come into terms and agreements with a good money range, then maybe it's possible. But if he's thinking he's going to be getting paid top dollar, absolutely not.
So, they let Justin Fields go today, Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
They let him go. The Jets picked him up. And you feel really bad for Justin. Poor Justin. I feel so bad for you. But anyway, they let him go. And so now you're just looking at Russell Wilson. And I got to be honest with you. A lot of people don't realize that Aaron Rodgers threw for 25 touchdowns on a pretty bad, pretty sucky team, but threw for 25 TDs. He was probably ranked 15th, 16th in the NFL on a really bad team as a quarterback. And the Steelers have everything. This is an opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to finish his career like Brett Favre did in Minnesota. Like Brett Favre got to the NFC Championship. And this Steeler team just picked up DK Metcalf. And you've already got George Pickens on the other side. I mean, and if you just add if Aaron Rodgers can give you one more good year, he might be able to get you to the promised land. The Steelers have a lot of good things on that team, way more than what the Jets had. And the only thing about that is no one has said we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. People keep saying Aaron Rodgers ought to go here and he ought to go there. There's a lot of negative publicity out there about him. But I think Mike Tomlin's just the guy for Aaron Rodgers to go all the way.
Yeah, just it's a lot that goes into that with the personalities and things. One thing I will say about Mike Tomlin is he's great with working with different personalities. You know, he can deal with those harder to get along with type personalities.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Um,
really good at that. He's really
yeah.
good.
So one thing, you know, again, one thing that you've said and that we've all agreed with is Aaron Rodgers, even at his prime in Green Bay, he is not one of the best leaders. And when
No,
you're in a group in a locker room full of grown men, they're not gonna take certain things from you no matter who you are, you know.
yeah, that's
And you
true.
have to be able to mend well with those people and be able to get the best. It seems like in New York he had a page turn and he seemed like that he was happy and he was a little more laid back and seemed like he was maturing a lot more. You go to Pittsburgh, you're gonna have some them dogs in there and you're gonna have to know how to be a leader amongst men and
Yeah.
get it done. So that's something to definitely keep our eyes out on looking forward. So I'm curious to see in which direction Pittsburgh is going to turn with the quarterback position.
It's going to be interesting. I think that it's going to be exciting to see what happens the next, few days because everybody's signing, all over the place here. And you got to feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to turn up somewhere. And the latest, talk on the NFL street has been Pittsburgh. We'll see what happens. Let's move over to Josh Allen. I mentioned $330 million
Woo!
earlier, and it went to Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills turned over the house, gave him the key to the city, $300 million, $330 million to play quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Now, we've watched Josh Allen come up short, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in a row to Patrick Mahomes. We've watched Lamar Jackson pretty much do the same thing. And that's a lot of money, Stu. Do you think the Bills made the right move?
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be far fetched trying to find two or three quarterbacks that are better than Josh Allen right now in the league. So
Yeah.
when you got a guy like that, you know, you want him to be a Bills player for the rest of his career if possible. You got to get him, lock him down. Maybe you can take a piece of the Eagles playbook and like, look, offensive line, defensive line, offensive line, defensive line. We with a caliber of a player like Josh Allen, you don't need the best wide receiver. You just need a decent receiver. You don't need the best running back. You just need a decent running back. You need production at those points. But with him, he is the X factor. You know, he can extend plays with his legs and throw it downfield. He can do it all. But he definitely, needs the help as far as O line, D line in the trenches. If you can give him that, I believe he should excel. But you don't want to let a player like that escape because then you're back at ground zero, and players like that they don't come along too often.
They don't, and unfortunately, you had to give him that money. And there's nobody else out there
Yeah.
that comes remotely close to being your franchise quarterback for the next 5, 6 years going forward. I mean, it's a lot. You can win at least, you should, one Super Bowl in the next 5 to 6 years with Josh Allen, if not more. It's a lot of money, but because of the way the market is in the NFL right now, you have to pay guys when you have the opportunity that can keep you in the Super Bowl hunt for years to come. So yeah, I guess it's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, but if anybody deserves it, yeah, Josh Allen definitely does. Going from one superstar quarterback to what at this point seems to be a has-been, Kirk Cousins. Can he help a playoff team get to the Super Bowl, because he's not the starter in Atlanta anymore, as he concedes to the young buck from the University of Washington, Mr. Penix. Has Kirk Cousins become a career backup in your mind?
I'm not going to say career backup. I believe if he's playing anywhere near to the Kirk we're used to seeing, he could be a starter in this league, most definitely.
Can he
If you
help a
look at
team get to the Super Bowl? Let me put it that way. That needs a quarterback.
well, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But most likely, probably not. If he plays the way we've been seeing, regular season champ, great to have him on your fantasy team. Run his stats up. He's going to score some points, give you some touchdowns. But can he win in the postseason? That's the biggest knock on Kirk Cousins, and he hasn't been able to. Can he do it? Like I said, anything is possible. We haven't seen it, so I wouldn't bank on it. Like I said, he could be a starter in this league, and he should be. But when guys are looking at you like, look, I'd rather develop this young cat that I got and see what he can do rather than put you in. We know what you're going to do. So people are trying to develop what they have. But I think he might find a home before this is all said and done. He might find a home on another team as a starter in this league. But as far as the big one you mentioned, winning in the postseason and potentially leading the team to the Super Bowl, we've yet to see that from him. We've seen him have great years. We've seen him be on great teams with great talent, but he has yet to show that he can play, that he can turn it up another notch when it counts the most.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is one of those guys that's out there that could potentially sign. I mean, he's the backup now. He's going to be backing up Michael Penix in Atlanta. And I think the Falcons saw enough in the regular season as to believe that he can't do it anymore. I don't know if it was the ACL tear, he's seeing ghosts back there in the pocket. Don't know what it is, but he's not getting it done in the regular season. You mentioned postseason. He's not getting it done in the regular season. And then you look at a guy like Michael Penix, the Falcons were like, we're moving on. So you feel like there's a possibility Kirk maybe signing with a team out there if someone were to inquire of his services, and it makes you go, well, can he actually at this point help a team that's a quarterback away to get to the Super Bowl? And as we speak, we're being joined by that tight end that you felt like might end up on one of the Super Bowl teams, Aaron Too Tall Moore. Aaron, what's going on, bro?
What's up, fellas? What's going on?
What's up, bro?
Everything's good. Everything's good. We were just talking about Kirk Cousins being a backup. There's probably a team out there that's going to inquire about his services because all of the signings that are going on in the NFL kind of crazy right now. Can he help a team that's a quarterback away get to the bowl in your mind?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like Kirk Cousins, but for some reason he seems to freeze up in them high pressure moments.
Yeah.
And I do believe, I heard this, but I do believe last year he was kind of banged up and injured. That's why he wasn't performing as well.
Right.
I think that has something to do with it a little bit. But I think I don't see a perfect situation for him out there right now. But I mean, he could come in and help a team. Yeah, I do believe that. But can he be the full starter and take a team to the promised land? I'm not 100% taking on that one.
Now, there were a lot of signings in the NFL today, and one of which involved your Washington Commanders. They picked up the offensive tackle bookend from the Houston Texans. Now, in my mind, I look at the Texans line and I go, they're all bad. But yet they chose to pick up someone from that line. What's your take on that pickup?
You're talking about the left tackle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was a 5-time. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler. I mean, he been holding his own for the past years. I mean, I don't know that much about him. I mean, but he's been to the Pro Bowl 5 times. I mean, he's been holding his own, and
Okay.
yeah, I don't think our GM will spend that type of money on a guy he don't believe is going to be able to. That's going to strengthen our left side because now we can move our rookie from last year. We had a left tackle. We can slide him into left guard, and then put the guy we signed at left tackle. So I think we just strengthen our O line right there.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens. I mean, you said he's been to the Pro Bowl 5 times. Last year, it looked like C.J. Stroud was about to go to the hospital 5 times. Anyway, we'll see. We shall see.
I mean, he's a veteran. So, I mean, I don't think they will.
Okay. Stu. Stu,
if you look at our signings real quick, we just signed a guy that he was with the Jets last year, but he used to play with San Fran. He was a D tackle with San Fran, and I mean, he's been up and down, but we signed him to a 3-year deal. I mean, he got a nice, it was like 30 million or something like that, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
For a person that's not producing, it's like we're signing guys that has that show their peak, and then for some reason they haven't performed, whether it's injury or whatever. But we're signing them like we believe in these guys, and they're gonna come in and step in and perform for us. So, well, I believe in Adam Peters, so I trust Adam Peters.
Well, one thing for sure is the Commanders are trending in the right direction. And I was talking about the Eagles just destroying the Chiefs. I don't think the Eagles are a team that's unbeatable, and I definitely think the Commanders can beat them. I mean, I just don't question my mind about it. So we shall see as signings continue, and we have the draft coming up in about 3-4 weeks in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we'll see. And as I mentioned, Green Bay, I want to talk about a former Packer, Davante Adams, who you ever seen that movie? That movie with Kurt Russell, Escape from New York?
Mm-mm.
That was Davante Adams. He got up out of there with the quickness, and I don't blame him. Hey, but look, he signs with the LA Rams, and now he's on the other side of Puka Nacua, the kid from the Lion King, and they kept Matt Stafford. Hey, Stu, what do you think about this pickup?
I don't like it.
Well, as a 49er fan, I would not like it one bit.
That's why I don't like it. I mean, Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the league, and you add that with a hot vet quarterback and Matthew Stafford with some other young receivers and a great offensive mind like Sean McVay. Sky's the limit, man. They just gotta get their running game together as far as dominant as they once were. They have a decent running game, but if they can get a good to very good running game, it's just going to take them to the next level. But as a 49ers fan, I don't like it. As a fan of the NFL, I think that's a great move for him and a great move for the Los Angeles Rams.
So, Aaron, Too Tall More, let me ask you, with the signing of Davante Adams and being on the other side of it, because actually, as good as Cooper Kupp is, to me, Davante Adams is even better than Cooper Kupp. And you still got Matt Stafford back there pitching it. Are they now all of a sudden the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC?
I would say yes. I say one thing that Davante, he's a bigger body than Cooper Kupp. So
yeah.
A lot of balls that Kupp can't get, Adams can.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to help Stafford. I'm sure he's happy for that signing right there. And then plus Puka Nacua, I think I said his name right. He could,
Puka Nacua, the kid from the Lion King. That's it. Yeah.
Lion King kid. He could learn so much from Adams.
Yeah.
just being around him. I mean, so it's a great signing for the Rams, and I think they feel like they was just one piece away from being the Eagles, and that was the link, I believe. And I think they feel like they can compete with them and beat them now.
I tell you right now, the Rams, they look, and I couldn't understand why they were flirting with getting rid of Stafford. Like, what are y'all doing? What do you mean you're thinking about letting Matt Stafford go? I mean, the guy spins it as good as anybody in the league. So anyway, they came to their senses, kept him. They look really good. You were talking about your 49ers not being happy about this, dude. Since you speak of the 49ers, are they making a mistake, or did they make a mistake by allowing Deebo Samuels to walk? Now a Commander.
Nah, I mean, it was one of those things where that's what he wanted.
Okay.
He has a great relationship with Kyle Shanahan and Lynch, and they allowed him to do what he wanted to do. They didn't want to hold him hostage, and he play the holdout game. Like he sincerely and legitly wanted to change the scenery, because they could have sent him to a team that wasn't a playoff contending team. The fact
Well, they
that
could have done
they
that.
sent
I
him.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be nasty about it, like, oh, you gonna wait to, okay, we got you. We'll send you to the Browns. You know what I mean? So, but sending him to the Commanders, where they have a great quarterback, they have a young team. He's going to add to the leadership in that room. They have receivers. Scary Terry is like, yeah, I'm still that number one guy. Don't get it twisted. Debo's he's going to be a great addition to a young team that is a playoff contender. So I think that's a great move for him. I was hoping we would get a little bit more than what we got, but it is what it is. They gave him a friendly. You could tell they had a great relationship with the deal that we accepted for him. So, hats off to him. But for us, Debo was getting banged up a lot, and started becoming spending more time on the sidelines than in the game. And then he started doing this little, he never been a receiver diva on our team. He's always been whatever it takes to win. Then he started playing that game. So it's kind of like, it probably was good, best for both sides, that he get a change of scenery and just get to start off fresh. So
so Aaron,
I hope he does well.
well, good for you for wishing the man well. You got a great attitude about it. I would not, want one of my stars to walk away like that. I would not like it one bit, but you got a great attitude about it. And to your point, the 49ers had a great attitude about it because they could have sent him to the Jets. So I'll ask you to I'll ask you to, Tall, being a beneficiary of their kindness. Deebo Samuel's now a member of an already powerful Commander squad. I mean, do you think the 49ers made a mistake by letting him walk out the door?
I think they made a mistake. I think sometimes in some relationships like that, uh, time is due. It's time for both parties to move on,
Right.
and I think that's just what happened in that relationship. I don't. I mean, he's a great player. I think they would love to keep him, but I think both sides was like, yeah, it's time for us to move on. You spent your time here, you done as well, so we're gonna do you well. And I think mutual parties made a mutual decision, and they just went their separate ways. I don't think it was no love lost. I heard the letter he wrote, to the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. I don't think it was no love lost. I think it was just time for each to move on, and I think that's what they did.
You know what? I'm going to say this, and we're going to move to the next topic, and we're going to take a look at draft needs. But I have to say this about the 49ers. Being a non-49er fan, I'm probably going to speak a lot more freely than a 49er fan would. Thankfully, we have a 49er fan on the panel today that can respond to this. But I look at the 49ers and I go, they got problems over there in Frisco. And their season did not end well. Brock Purdy did not get his bag. They gave him a bag. Nothing to get mad at, but he didn't get an elite bag because he did not show he was the kind of guy that can rally even when things aren't looking as good as you'd like for them to look. He's not that dude, as it were. Good quarterback, but not that dude. And now Debo's gone. Now there were issues with Brandon Ayuk, and their defense didn't look that good. What's Stu? What are your feelings about the current 49ers situation?
We just needed a refresh. That's all. You know, we had this thing going where we went to the Super Bowl, and usually the year after the Super Bowl, we don't play great. And that's exactly what happened again. We went to the Super Bowl. Year after that, we didn't play great. Had a lot of key injuries. Brock held it down for, a lot of times he was throwing it to the fourth wide receiver, third, had the third running back playing. McCaffrey went out again the second, third, on the fourth that offensive line wasn't the best. Trent was out most of the game, and our right side is horrible. So he's struggling on the offensive side. Defense wasn't playing the way it just was a bad year, So you need that reset button. You need people to get healthy. You need some new talent in there. You need some guys that are hungry, that are ready to play, and not going through that. Do I want to be here? Now, those guys need to go. If you're not sure if you want to be there, just like we lost Ward, but that was a different situation. With him losing his child there, he lost his daughter. He didn't want to play in that area anymore, so we had to let him go. So we need people who want to be there, people who are ready to dig in, get hungry, not be about themselves, but be about the team, and really, grind together. And like Aaron said, I think it was just a mutual thing, because if you remember last season, there were talks of us trading Debo and all this stuff, and we ended up keeping him. I think the 49ers were kind of seeing the direction this was going to go in, and Debo made the calls that he wanted out, and it was all respect and love. So when things are usually that, and you have a great relationship with upper management, the GM and coach, a lot of times, they may do you right. But when it's some beef there, that's when you go to the Jets or the Browns. And,
Right.
fortunately for him, he got to go to the Commanders. So I think it's just one of those things where it's not quite a rebuild, but there are some areas that we are rebuilding in. We still have some great pieces in McCaffrey, and the Kittles, and Trent's still there. Our linebacker situation is still there. Bose is still there. We got our coach. We got some staple pieces still in place, but we still got to play this game in the NFL with managing salaries, salary cap. You can't, if you're going to pay this person, you can't pay that person. We still got to play that game. So I think we'll continue to. We might make a couple splashes here and there in the free agency. I know we're looking at the defensive tackle from the Commanders. I believe that certain key players that played on the Jets may want to continue to play for Robert. I'm hoping that Sauce is one of them. That would be a great addition to our defensive locker room. And we have a lot of picks in the offseason. So in the draft, this coming draft, being smart and strategic with that, going for the trenches, O-line, O-line, O-line. If anything Philly showed us was, this is what happens when you have a great offensive line. We've seen Saquon do great things with a bad offensive line, but you give him a great offensive line, and he should have broken the record. I know he, did his thing. He won the Super Bowl, so that gamble worked out in his favor. But offensive line, defensive line, the trenches is what, as a team, we need to focus on, and securing that, and everything else we can make up for.
So, hey, listen, and you made mention before too. You end up, going to bad teams like the Jets and the Browns, the Panthers, and the new Siberia of the NFL, the Patriots. So yes, excellent points, Stu. I want to now look at the NFL draft that's coming up. Like I said, about 3-4 weeks. And I want to look at, and we're not going to cover it all in this show. We'll come back next week. We'll talk more about it and get some more shows in before the draft. But let's look at the NFC North, where you have the Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and Ravens. And I'll start out with you, Stu. Aaron, I'll start out with you. Are there any teams in this particular division that might be a huge draft pick away, along with the signing or two, from making a run at not only the division, but the Super Bowl in the NFC North?
Well, I think the Bengals and the Ravens are pretty set. I mean, I think the Bengals, they just got to learn to don't get off to that slow start.
Right.
Um, and I think they'd be fine. I mean, their defense need they could add a couple defensive pieces, the Bengals.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens just need to learn not to turn the ball over in the playoffs. They got all the pieces. They just got to learn, to learn to win. I would say really, well, the Browns got a long ways. I ain't even talking about them. But the Steelers I believe, a quarterback away. Now, I don't know if you talked about it a little bit early before I jumped on, but Aaron Rodgers' name is whirling around. And
Yes. Yes.
okay, still curtain. So if they could land Aaron Rodgers, man, that would be huge for Steeler Nation. I think that will put them in a mix
Well,
for
yeah.
for a run.
I believe that. I was just saying, prior to you coming on, that he can end his career like Brett Favre did in Minnesota.
Mhm.
Like the Steelers have everything except a guy that can take it to the next level. And I hate to say that because they do have Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson, in my mind, cannot
Yeah.
do
Mm-mm.
what an Aaron Rodgers can still do with the right pieces.
Mhm.
They just got DK Metcalf and they got George Pickens.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
That's all the Aaron Rodgers need. I mean, I will say this: they need to show up that running game, though. They do need to show up that running game. They can't put all the pressure on Rodgers if they get him, or whoever back down in center. But show up that running game, and because they already got two studs on each side, and the defense is decent. So they get Aaron Rodgers, they're gonna be scary. I think.
I do believe that. Stu, your thoughts about the draft needs in the AFC. Who do you think in your mind that is a draft pick away, along with a signing or two, from coming out of that division with the crown and making a Super Bowl run?
It's one of those things for me where it's like it's the Steelers would be the answer only because they're the only team that's really missing that one piece. But I
Right.
don't think they're the best team over there.
Okay.
With the Ravens, and if as Aaron stated, if the Bengals can play the way they're capable of playing, those are two top teams over there. Steelers are always going to be competitive in that division. But I think to be honest, man, I think we kind of stuck on Aaron Rodgers that we're used to seeing or that we've seen
Okay.
instead of who he is now. Is he 40? He's 40 now, right?
He's 41.
41, coming off that surgery. Doesn't move the same, you know. Can he still, we know he's not the young Aaron Rodgers, but is the Aaron Rodgers as of right now, is he good enough to be considered that one piece that is going to take you over the edge, with everything? That's what we want to see. That's what we have yet to be seen. And if he goes to a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, there will be no excuses because we've seen Pittsburgh hit 500 with a crappy team. So with the pieces that they have, if you add Aaron Rodgers and they have a mediocre year or a 500 year or something like that, or they miss the postseason, then everyone's gonna be looking at Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not saying that he is, and I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm saying it's a question mark on, is a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers the piece that you need to take your team to the next level? That's the question that I would like to get answered this year. So hopefully he does go to the Steelers. That'd be great to see.
I had mentioned before which team would be a draft pick away or a signing or two away. And I think Pittsburgh would be that team, because I would add to the argument that they should look for a stud quarterback coming out in the draft if they can find one. Shador's going to be gone, of course. and Cam Ward's going to be gone. But there's some quarterbacks out there that have a high side to them that probably need a year to just sit and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were the Steelers, I would look for a QB like that because Aaron Rodgers is 41, going to be 42. Russell Wilson, he's old. Those two guys are not your future.
No.
Want to win now? I'd take a shot at A-Rod based on the talent level they have. I'd take a shot at him and let a young stud just watch A-Rod. Just watch him. And maybe they can pick up from where they left off. But again, it's just a good discussion for now. We'll see what happens because I don't think anybody's thinking about the Cleveland Browns doing anything in this division. I mean, Myles Garrett came back, but they're going to need to say, let's make the whole draft. Guys, just understand we feel really bad for Cleveland. Let's make the draft about the Browns. Everybody else go home. Anyway, so Cleveland, they're not in this conversation. And then you look at Cincinnati, and you go, man, they just can't seem to figure out how to start the season off right. I don't know what their problem is. I don't know if it's their head coach. I don't know what the Bengals' problem is. So they might waste a draft pick just because they can't get right.
Yeah.
And then Baltimore's got everything.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore didn't need anything. I don't think they need a signing. They don't need a great draft pick. They've got everything to win the Super Bowl right now. They've got to stop choking.
Stick them.
Oh, yeah, stick them. I think I like that. We need to see if we can get in touch with Acme Stick-Up Company and see if they can set up a truckload because they need it bad. Anyway, let's hey, let's look at the AFC South before we get out of here real quick. We got the Jags, the Colts, the Texans, and the Titans. Aaron, real quick, in your mind, any team in this division that might be a draft pick away or a signing or two from winning it and making a Super Bowl type run? Anybody in this division?
Probably the Texans.
Okay.
I think the Texans a couple pieces away. If they could get probably something on the defensive side, even though their defense is locked and loaded, but to me, defense win championships.
Yeah.
So maybe they get something on the defensive side that could help them out in free agency. But the Texans are the closest team. I don't see the Jaguars doing anything. The Colts, I don't see them doing anything. I don't see the Titans doing anything next year, to tell you the truth.
No.
So I see the Texans probably the closest team in that division that could one or two pieces away probably from making a run.
Stu, your opinion on the AFC South and what team could make a strong move through this draft and with the signings and free agent signings?
Yeah, I think that the Jaguars are 12 number one picks away from definitely. It's one of those things. Of course, the Texans are the best team there, but when they have their quarterback, so it's like when you have the quarterback and you have weapons, it's kind of like they just got to figure it out, get it together. CJ kind of had a sophomore slump, if you will. They got to figure out what went wrong, go back to the drawing board. They have a great head coach there. Figure out what went wrong defensively and offensively, and they have like small issues to fill, small holes they have to fill and get right. As far as that one pick, I don't look at them as that one pick away. I just look at them as correcting a little bit of the small issues they were having. But the other teams are obsolete kind of, so it's kind of like, they need a lot of picks if it's going to be them. But so I would have to go with the Texans in this.
Yeah, they
scenario.
need a lot. Well, they need their own individual. Right.
Yeah.
Whether they need to get with the commissioner and see if they can have a draft all their own, and everybody else is a crib. It's about the Titans. So I'll just say this: I think the Texans are a team that needs to be looking at linemen. Like they're to me, their whole first two rounds should be at getting some real linemen. Because CJ, I mean, I was kidding about CJ going to the hospital. That dude was never comfortable in the pocket. And they've got a really good team, and it would be a shame to waste the abilities of C.J. Stroud. So I think if they went into this draft thinking about getting top line, just making it an offensive lineman, top heavy draft, and they just lost a stud to the Commanders. It's like what you guys got to figure this one out. I don't care if Tank Dell is on the field or not. He ain't gonna ever get the ball because CJ's gonna be on his back. So they got to get some linemen in there, and that could get them certain. They're gonna win the crown anyway. But they can make a Super Bowl run if they protect C.J. Stroud better. And I will add the Colts. Like the Colts could benefit from a good draft and a couple of signings. They're not that far away. I don't like the kid. I hate to say it, Anthony Richardson. I hate to say it. I've seen enough of Anthony Richardson. He's not ready. And unless they can get him some help, he's got all the physical tools. But he needs more snaps. He's not comfortable. He's skittish, can't read defenses. And I think he's scared back there, to be totally honest with you. He never seen anything like this before. But I think that there's potential with a good draft for the Colts and some good signings that they can maybe make a little bit of noise and put some heat on the Texans. But we got the draft coming up in Green Bay, Wisconsin in about 3-4 weeks. We're going to keep coming at you guys live up until that point and just kind of break everything down. It's going to be exciting to see who goes where. I want to see if they're saying that Shedeur Sanders is walking around, with an arrogant swag and like he's got, I hope that's not true. I really hope Shedeur is not walking around like he's the man like that. I mean, your name's not Dion, your name is Shedeur. You're Shedeur Sanders. Okay, you're not Neon Dion. You're not your pop. You're a good quarterback, and I'm rooting for you. But they're saying he's walking around with, like a chip on his shoulder, and like, he's the best thing since sliced bread. So I don't know, but Cam Ward,
I hope it's the good confidence, because some people get misconstrued about good confidence and then arrogance.
Right.
It's a thin line between good confidence and arrogance. And some people may be looking at him like he's arrogant, but he may be looking like I'm just confident in my ability.
Could be.
So, so it could be one of them things.
And I hope that's the case, because I was surprised to hear the reports that that's how he's kind of walking around at some of these combines and at camps and whatnot. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Cam Ward, also another dog coming out early. He might end up in New York. The Giants seem to be talking a lot about him. And I don't want him to go to the Giants. He's going to be the next star of Escape from New York. I don't want that. But
I'm going to say this real quick. To tell you the truth, I don't think either one of them are worthy of top 10 pick.
Oh, they're going to go on.
I just don't see them worthy. They're going to go in the top 10. But I don't. I could see Sanders dropping a little bit. If he does drop, probably in the 15s or something like that, but I can't. To me, neither one of them are worthy of the top 10 pick, in my opinion. That's
so. I love that idea, that topic, and we want to put a pin in that because I want to talk about it on our next show. We're going to get out of here on that note. Great show, Aaron Too Tall Moore and Antoine A.S. Stewart, hip-hop artist on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show NFL edition, talking pre-draft, and we're going to continue next week. So see us maybe next Monday, if not Wednesday at the same time. Everybody stay blessed, and may the peace of Christ be with you and your families. God bless.